From the center of the universe, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, this is the SDM Show with your host, Rob Cairns. The SDM Show focuses on business, life, productivity, digital marketing, WordPress, and more. Sit back, relax, grab your favorite drink, and enjoy the show. Here is Rob.
Hey everybody, I'm Rob Cairns. I'm the founder, CEO, and Chief Digital Strategist at Stunning Digital Marketing. In today's podcast, I have Phil Storey with me, and we're going to talk about his product, Glow. Sit back, relax, enjoy. Hey everybody, Stunning Digital Marketing is your digital concierge. We help you put the pieces together to make your marketing success. Specialties we have including WordPress design and development, WordPress security, which is one of our most popular offerings, ads, and more. So if you want to succeed in the digital world, go on over to stunningdigitalmarketing.com and have a look at what we offer, and we'd be glad to help you. And let's jump on a call and make it happening. That's stunningdigitalmarketing.com. Okay. Hey everybody, Rob Cairns here, and today I'm here with Phil Storey, coming to us from across the world from Glow. How are you, Phil?
I'm good, Rob. Good to be here. Thanks, man. Thanks for inviting me.
Always a pleasure. And you're halfway across the world because you're coming to us from Lisbon, Portugal, are you not?
I am indeed. Rainy Lisbon, Portugal today.
Okay, so
it's not normally like that.
Yeah, so I'll tell you, Toronto is overcast and going to potentially rain too. It's uncharacteristically warm again for this time of year. We're headed to 23 degrees Celsius in November. So there you go.
Nice. I'll take that.
So I, my friend. So I wanted to jump in before we talk about Glow and the product and, you know, managing websites and maintenance plans and all that cool stuff, which us agency owners take a part of, but a lot of people don't. Did you get into WordPress, and what's your WordPress origin story?
Good question. So I guess it starts back in around about 2010, 2011 for me. So take it back a couple of years before that. So I went to university in England and actually studied a construction related degree, which clearly has absolutely no relation to digital and web. But I guess I probably went to university more for the enjoyment of university rather than the degree I was studying. But anyway, got the degree, left, and kind of quickly decided that I kind of knew I didn't want to pursue a career in construction, but of course was still young enough to try and figure out what I actually did want to do. So so my journey with WordPress really starts. I was working for my brother at the time as a real estate agent. Had a conversation with a friend who just created his own website for his windows company. He was double glazing and windows and stuff. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. Like, you've built your own website. You know, can you tell me how you did it? Like, you know, what did you use? How did you design it? Because I think I've always had a creative eye, like an eye for design. Mm-hmm. So that sort of, you know, that hurdle was already jumped, if you get me. I'd never considered sort of, you know, development in any way before. So I had that chat with him. He gave me a few pointers. I ended up looking kind of online, right, to sort of teach myself how to create websites ultimately. And during the course of doing that, I found a website called lynda.com.
Oh, yes.
Which is
a learning site.
Right, which a lot of us have heard of before, right?
Which
I think LinkedIn own it now. Yeah,
own it now.
Therefore, Microsoft. So, I mean, that was just amazing. That website, like, it had everything that I wanted to learn at that time, right? So it had all the HTML, CSS, JavaScript, PHP, you know, you name it in terms of coding languages. And that's where I started. I taught myself how to write, you know, basic kind of HTML and CSS so that I could create websites, you know, static page websites. But through lynda.com, I then found WordPress, right? There was these WordPress fundamental training or something, I think it was called. In fact, I even remember the name of the tutor was a guy called James Williamson. And that was me hooked at that point, really. Oh, you know, kind of coming off the back of trying to sort of build everything myself. I found WordPress and obviously immediately saw the benefit of it. So, yeah, like I said, that was sort of back maybe a 2010, 2011 time. And then, like a lot of us, I think, when we started our days in web design, you know, kind of began building sites for family and local small businesses in the town that we were living in at the time, and it grew from there, really. So yeah, that's how it all began.
That's so cool. That's about the time a lot of us got into WordPress, was that 2009, 2010.
Right.
I'm a little bit before that, but not much. And I don't regret it. I mean, I got into it simply because I was building sites for family projects. I was working full time in tech at the time. And I was doing static sites. And interestingly enough, I got fed up with my family calling me for simple questions. So I started creating an FAQ HTML site and said, by the way, till you read the site, you don't bug me. And then I'm the one in my family who organizes pictures and stuff for family events. And in those days, we didn't have like Google Photos and stuff like that. So they all went on a web page and, all that stuff. And that was kind of my entry into WordPress. I never planned to go there professionally. I did, but that's another story, right?
It was also quite good timing, I think, around then, because it was right around the time that the whole responsive design, thing was talked about and kind of launched, I guess, as a concept. So yeah, right at the time I got into learning how to build sites was at that time that people, had started to build them responsively. So yeah, I kind of learned all of that at exactly the right time, I think. So that was a neat time.
And responsive is so key because, 70% I would say it's got to be closer to 70 of all searches are done on a phone or an iPad or a tablet now. And I mean, I take myself, I got a bill by email this overnight, one I've been waiting for. And I got up this morning. I hadn't even turned my laptop on. And what did I do? I grabbed my iPad and paid the bill on a responsive device, right? And so we all work that way.
Yeah, it's just every day now, isn't it? I would imagine one of the first things pretty much all of us do right in the morning is pick up the phone and deal with something on there. So
I actually don't.
Okay, nice. You've got a healthier routine then.
I stopped doing that a long time ago, but I mean, it's
good, man.
And I don't know about you, but I also work mobile a lot of the time. So today I'm working at home, but I often I'll go to a coffee shop. The Toronto area's got a really good train and regional bus network. And if I'm on a regional bus for an hour, I'll have a laptop on my lap doing something. I mean, I use my time.
Yeah,
so
I often do that. Yeah, I do that when I get a flight like back to the UK or whatever. I usually sort of prep some work beforehand so I can work offline and stuff. And kind of always on the go. But that's the life of a busy.
It's funny you were talking about responsiveness, and it's interesting because I was thinking back to responsive themes, and there were a couple, right? There was Studio Press by Brian Gardner at the time that was pretty broad, and I know Brian pretty well. There was Headway Themes, and I don't need to get into that debacle, but if you know the history of Headway Themes, there was a big crash and dumpster fire at the end of that mess. And they kind of started it off, really. And then we got into this whole page builder thing where Beaver Builder came out and Elementor came out. And I don't know if people know, but the number one selling theme on ThemeForest is a theme called Aveda that's been around forever that has its own built-in page builder.
Yep, I know it. I know it fairly well. We used it, I think, a couple of times during my agency days. And in fact, it just got a mention today on one of my LinkedIn posts by somebody, actually. So, that's been around a long time. The first one I remember was Divi, I think. That's the first one I remember well.
By Elegant, yeah. And Aveda was
going back probably 10 years there, I think.
Yeah. Aveda actually drove my agency site until I moved the block. And now we've got Gutenberg in the middle of it all and that whole ecosystem. So life's interesting.
It is.
Let's talk about Go. What is Go?
Sure.
Do you want to tell us a bit about the product?
Yeah, so it's a WordPress management tool, basically. If you've ever heard of products like Manage WP, Main WP, we're essentially a new competitor to those guys. We're a little bit different, right? Whereas the vast majority of that market focuses on essentially the maintenance tasks for looking after WordPress sites. We kind of roll maintenance client support and reporting into one dashboard, basically. So, yeah, like I said, a little bit different. It's all born out of my agency days, basically, Rob. So back in the UK, I ran a WordPress agency for about 5-6 years, and a big part of what we did was the the management and support of those WordPress sites that we were building, right? Like a lot of us agency owners do, right? It's so many reasons it's a great service to have in the business, isn't it? It's a nice recurring revenue stream, helps you, with the potential of selling in other things to those clients, obviously, the longer they stay with you.
And the reality of it is those clients aren't going to manage their own websites, no matter how much we were saying before we went to record, how much clients claim they're going to do this. They're going to spend the time and do this. They're going to make it happen. They're not. I mean, usually where I get calls is 5 months later and says, I got a virus, or I've been hacked, or my intern did something stupid. And by the way, I don't have a backup. Oh, and you've heard these stories.
Can you help me, please? Yeah. And I've experienced a few of them. Yeah. No,
or even better.
No, you're right. It's
the better one was I have Backup Buddy running, but I don't know where my offline backup has gone because it's not documented anywhere.
Well, look, the reality is that the vast majority of clients aren't technical, and they're not technical, certainly in the sense of understanding the ins and outs of maintaining a website, right? So, that is the reason that they don't do it themselves, right? There's a lot to it. There's a lot to properly reliably maintaining a WordPress site, right? And they are not skilled in doing so, which is why, I always say, like, to clients, investing in a quality support and maintenance service is an extremely valuable investment of theirs. The website is often, certainly should be, like the number one salesperson in their business, right? So it really does pay to invest in quality support and maintenance. So yeah, I mean, I guess going back to my agency days, that was a big part of our service, and we actually used Managed WP, right? In my agency days, we used it for about 4 years, primarily because it was, certainly back in the day, it was the only one that existed at the time, and then obviously other alternatives came out. And Glow was born out of that, really, because it was good, right? It was a good tool for the maintenance stuff, bulk plugin and theme management, uptime monitoring and backups. It was good for that. But ultimately, a care plan service, a support and maintenance service, whatever you want to call it, the support element is a huge part of that service.
Oh, yeah.
And ultimately, we found in my agency that Managed WP didn't give us anything on the support side. It was only the maintenance side. So the support stuff we had to do by email to start with, which got very messy the bigger that we got. And then later we moved on to a ticket system called Freshdesk.
Oh, yeah, I know Freshdesk well.
And it's good. That's another really good product, support ticket desk. Ultimately, we found it had kind of too many features. We didn't need it to have everything that it has. It was quite like a serious size bit of kit. But I guess that was kind of the light bulb moment for me, really, was that, well, when I looked across the market of WordPress management products, they all catered to the maintenance side. None of them catered to the support side.
Yeah.
And I certainly knew that for us in our agency, there was great value in being able to bring that into one dashboard.
I agree.
For loads of reasons. So that's why I created Glow, right? To kind of, bring it into one space. And I figured that if there's value for us, there's probably going to be other agencies around the world that would get value from the same thing. So
is Glow a self-hosted in WordPress product? Or
no, it's a SaaS. It's a SaaS. Yeah. We still have our own plugin, right? So again, like all of the products on the market, to kind of connect to a website in Glow, you do need to install our plugin, but you just follow the steps in the software, basically. Yeah.
So I have to go there because the minute you introduce another plugin, you introduce another security issue, right?
That's true.
And
that's true.
Have you had any issues with anybody hijacking that plugin to do nefarious things?
We haven't. So you can't access the Glow plugin on the repository, for example. You can't sort of search for Glow in the plugin repository. No, touch wood. No, we've been okay so far. Obviously, during the phase when we were in beta and kind of getting things going, minimum viable products and stuff. Of course, we had various bugs and things to get resolved, but that's all part of the process. But no, I'm happy to report that the plugin itself is very lightweight, right? It's tiny, and really all it does is ensure that whenever you perform an action in Glow, it updates that in WordPress, and vice versa. If you were to log into WordPress, I don't know, and you noticed there were 5 updates performed, you could run them in WordPress and Glow would know about it and then kind of record that those actions have been performed. So it's a pretty tiny plugin really in that regard. So
yeah, and I take it, as most of these products are, the install's pretty easy. Log into the SaaS dashboard, say deploy the plugin, make the connection with an admin account, and you're probably done, right?
That's right. It takes about 15 to 20 seconds to connect a new site to Glow. Yeah, you just give Glow the URL. And then you then log into WordPress, install and activate our plugin, and it's done. So there's no usernames or passwords required or anything like that. No connection keys. It's simply just activating the plugin. So yeah, super easy.
So that's really easy. Pricing. So we always get into the support, especially as agency people, and I have to go there because it's always. Yeah. So how does it price out, like in comparison to other products on the market? Can you get into that?
I mean, there's a bit of a spread, in all honesty, across the market. There's a bit of a spread. Like lots of things in WordPress, there's quite a few that are kind of entirely free. You could sign up for example, Manageable BP. You could use it completely free for forever, really, if you just stick to the very basic set of features. And then they go right up to some of the other players that you could get a plan that's $1,000 a month, for example. So I'd like to think ours is pretty flexible. Okay, so you have the sort of classic SaaS tiered pricing with Glow. So there's 3 different plans, and on each plan you get a set quota of websites that you can manage. Right. So for example, on the bottom plan, you can manage up to 20 sites. It's $50 a month, so it works out at about $250. Is that my maths right there? Yeah, about $250.
Yeah, that's about right.
Maths was never my strong point. But what we introduced fairly recently was like a flex option, if you will. So you could hit that 20 sites, and instead of being forced to upgrade to that next plan where the limit is 50, you can just pay as you go, 21, 22, 23 sites. So that just keeps you, in control a little more over what you're spending, I guess. And then ultimately, the more sites that you add, the lower the per site rate is as you grow. So you get up to 100, 2, 3, 4, 500 sites, which I know is yourself, Rob, of course. With some competing products, the price per site never changes. So you're not kind of rewarded for adding any more sites, whereas in Glow you are, right? That per site rate does fall the more that you add.
Yeah. One of the things you mentioned was reporting, and that's like a double-edged sword as far as I'm concerned, because one of the things I've learned, and doing some SEO, I've learned, doing maintenance plans, I've learned, clients, they scream about reports because they have to justify it to the bean counters, but I don't know if they actually look at them.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Where do you sit on the whole reporting fence?
I sit, firstly, in agreement with you there that it would be fairly unlikely if I was to send a report to my client today about their website and it was 15 pages long. It would be fairly unlikely that they would sit and flick through those 15 pages when they sit down at their desk each morning. I think, however, that doesn't particularly matter necessarily, whether they really read it cover to cover. In my opinion, it's the act of sending it, and therefore the act of the client receiving it at all that's the important bit, right? The fact that email drops into their inbox every week or every month or every quarter that just says, hey, it's Rob, this is what we've done to look after your website in the last week or the last month. If they open it and read it, maybe they will, maybe they won't. But the fact that you're dropping in and keeping in touch and proving the value of that service to them on a regular basis, for me, that's the important bit.
I agree.
If I go back to my agency days, I know the when we lost clients from the care plan retainers, it was often because we'd done a shitty job of proving the value of the service, right? We'd lost touch with them. We'd not sent them a report. We'd not, dropped them a call or whatever. And of course, the flip side of that is making sure that you do that regularly, whether they read it or not. I think is
so one of the things I think care plan agencies make a mistake of doing is they take if the client doesn't want anything, we won't bother them because they'll mean work.
Yeah.
And I think you need to reach out to your clients on a regular basis and say, hey,
I agree.
How can I help you? The other thing I do very frequently is all my clients go on my mailing list automatically. And one of the things in the laws in both Canada and the US is that they're a paid client. You don't need them to opt in. You can add them as long as they don't opt out. Now, I always tell my clients, if you opt out, then you get no notifications of changes. You get no notifications of when I'm away. So if you choose that avenue, you go ahead. But, and it's the same reason I don't like out of sight, out of mind. So one of the things I did this morning is at the time of this record, we know WordPress 6.7 is T-minus 7 days and counting. Yep. I sent my clients out an email and said, by the way, there's a major update coming out next week. Just be warned. So my clients all know that there's an update coming next week.
I was about to say that, aside from just the kind of standard reporting that you can send to them, I know of a lot of really good agencies that are kind of even more proactive about it. So that's a good example there, Rob, where, this update's coming out. It's a major one. You're letting your clients know about it and the fact that you're on top of it, right? So that just says to them, they don't have to do anything. All they have to do is read that. Oh, cool. Rob's on top of it with the website. Done. I'll move on to what else I need to move on. So that's sort of proactive. There's a good friend of mine runs an agency in Scotland called Jellyhound. And they do a lot of that proactive stuff, right? So they'll fix something that's just, occurred this week that, the client hasn't necessarily told them about it. They've just found it as an agency. Yep. And they'll say, oh, hey, just to let you know, this cropped up this week. We sorted it out, X, Y, Z. If we can help with anything, let us know, kind of thing. So it's just that, I think anything you can do to just, consistently prove the value of the service is only gonna help you. And I think obviously there's so many pieces of software like Glow now that you can use to just automate a lot of it as well. It doesn't necessarily have to take you lots of time either, right? So it's a bit of a no-brainer, really.
Being a full stack marketing concierge, one of the things I do is I send my clients out tips all the time. And
nice.
It's funny because that usually generates the revenue. They'll read it and say, oh, I don't want to do this, but I need to do this, so help, and things like that. So staying in touch is actually a good thing, to be honest with you.
Yeah, totally is.
Okay, so I have to ask, I take it Glow supports 2FA or two-factor authentication when you log in?
It does. Absolutely. Yeah. You've it's a bit of a non-negotiable these days, really, isn't it? So
I think anybody who's using a product like this, because it gives them access to the world,
precisely,
over 400 websites, you better have 2FA turned on, and you better be using 2FA either through a security key or an app, not a text message read.
Yeah, it's all through an app. Yeah. It's actually Google Authenticator off the top of my head. So,
which is my app of choice, actually.
Yeah. It's a no-brainer. You got to turn that on, right? Yep. Like you say, gives people the keys to the kingdom, really. If you don't have it, if you don't have it on and something goes wrong. So even between teammates, right? You want to make sure that it's protected as well. So
So we talked about that. Will Glow let you run backups from within Glow, or do you have to go to the WordPress site?
Yeah, so you can configure most things through Glow. So we don't actually have our own backup engine. We did actually start building one through our early days, and essentially realized that it's a hell of a thing to build and get stable and get right. Like many of the things in this space, right? So that was just a strategic decision change by myself, really, to switch from what we were building to integrating with a tried and tested provider, basically. So it's actually Updraft Plus that kind of powers all the backups through Glow. And I think ultimately it's kind of like a minor inconvenience, I guess, that if you're not already using Updraft on your client's sites and you want to have backups going through in Glow, you got to set up the Updraft plugin, but you can do it from Glow. You can configure the schedules from Glow. All the, everything still gets included in your client reports. So yeah. And ultimately, it just brings you the power of one of the most trusted, reliable backup solutions on the market, right? So why reinvent the wheel if it's already there? So it's a very powerful product.
I think the three big ones are probably Updraft, Solid Backup, which used to be Backup Buddy, and then the other one that comes to mind is All-in-One Backup and Migration Tool. They're kind of the big. There's some other ones.
Yeah, All-in-One WP Migration. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, we obviously tested them all before we chose kind of the integration. But the bottom line is, any customer of Glow, if they want to run backups, they just want them to work. Right? They just want the backups to work reliably, and if something goes wrong, they want to be able to restore. So you get all of that through the Glow control panel. So similar to the uptime feature. Okay, so we have an uptime monitoring feature. All of that is powered by Uptime Robot, pretty much the most one of the most famous uptime monitoring ones. Yep. So you don't need an Uptime Robot account, right? You only need a Glow account. So we integrate through their API. So whenever you add a site into Glow, if you want to turn on uptime monitoring, you get kind of all the power of their tech behind it. So super reliable again in terms of monitoring.
Do you do anything like security monitoring from within Glow, or have you left that all to the extraneous forces?
So we have a security vulnerability feature, which is powered by WordFence.
Okay.
Again, on this occasion, you don't need to install the WordFence plugin. It's all through their vulnerabilities API. Okay, so they obviously have a vast database of known security vulnerabilities across core versions, plugins, and themes, and then all Glow does is just match their database to any websites in your account, basically. And if there's any matches, you know about it. You get a description of what's what the problem is, what the issue is, what the severity level is, whether there's been a patch yet, and then how to fix it, which is 9 times out of 10, it's just update to the latest version, right? But then that gets neatly recorded in kind of our version of an activity log. It's called Timeline, and then of course that pulls into reports as well. So kind of everything is tracked, I guess, over time.
I think that's important. Like, security is just so much a part of the web game. I think people
for sure
don't worry about it, or agencies who don't sell it. I think they're really doing a disservice to their clients. I really do. Like the hackers we saw when COVID hit, the hackers took advantage. They were all at home. They were all bored. So hacking attempts have gone way up. And if you read any of the millions and one security vulnerability lists out there, they've gone way up the last couple of years. I think the tools are getting better. I also think AI has caused a lot of the issues right now. I mean, AI has a lot of great uses. I'm an AI Gemini user. I'll say that every day.
Oh yeah.
But a lot of people are, shall we say, not managing security really well. So that's a big deal.
I mean, we see it, right? We can see it in Glow, the sites that are being well protected, well looked after, well maintained, and unfortunately, there's some that still get neglected, right? But it's you're right. It's a very important thing to stay on top of.
Is there any other feature you'd really like to highlight in Glow?
Well, I guess, like I said at the start, kind of the unique element of Glow mainly is the support offering, right? So, I mean, the maintenance stuff you'll have been used to, for years if you've used other products like Main and Managed WP. So, I'd like to think we've covered off the vast majority of that maintenance stuff, and then to pair that up with the support side, it's a really powerful dashboard, to be honest, because it's it's the place for you to handle all your client support requests as well. So email gets messy, so you don't have to do it there. Separate support ticket tool is nice, but it's even nicer when it's in the same place as all your maintenance stuff, right? Because it brings everything together. So you can one click log into the WordPress dashboard. It all gets automatically added into your client reports. Numerous benefits in that regard, really. And I guess a key one is the fact that you don't have to get your clients to log in to a dashboard to create tickets, and they can do it all from their email, right? They can just send you an email.
What I'm going to tell you is clients are not going to log into a dashboard.
No, there you go. I mentioned that at the right time, then, didn't I?
They will not do it. I have gone there.
Yeah, not many. Not many. There are some. I think it's because we've obviously got the data in Glow. I think it's about 90. It's like 90 to 95% of tickets raised are raised from email. So it's funny because in our beta product, we actually didn't have that feature. We had it where the client had to log in, and we got so many customers saying, no, we need them to be able to raise it from email. So that was a big step forward when we added that. So
they're not going to do it.
No, it's very, very rare that they log in. But the option's there if they want to. The option's there. But yeah, it's very commonly done by email, which is great. So it's easy for the client. The client doesn't have to change behavior. They just raise on email. When they get a reply from the agency, it's in the same thread, so they can just track it all and see the history. And then, of course, for the agencies, where there's different team members that need assigning to different clients, to different tickets, it's really, really helpful to have that all there in one place. So yeah.
If somebody wants to check out Go, find out more, get some more advice before they make a change or investigate into a new product, how's the best way?
It'd just be through our website, Rob. So it's getglow.io, getglow.io. And then, there's everything you need to know about the product really is on the website. We've actually just launched a new kind of on-demand demo video. So it's only 2 minutes long, a bit less actually. Just give you a really good overview of how Glow can help you basically if you're managing lots of WordPress sites. So it's all there. There's a chat functionality as well, so you can talk to the support and the sales guys whenever you need to. And yeah, I think all the information that you might want to know about is there. I'm very active on LinkedIn. Yep. So if you just search for Phil Storey on LinkedIn, I'm on there pretty much every day, usually having great conversations that relate to WordPress. Basically, on most days, gets quite a bit of engagement on there, and good to chat with different agencies, different people from the WordPress world. So yeah, and you can find me there, message me, and connect with me anytime.
Yeah, check it out, and thanks, Phil, for joining me. Much appreciated.
Pleasure. Thanks for your time, Rob.
Thank you. Thank you very much for listening to the SDM Show. The SDM Show is brought to you by Stunning Digital Marketing, your digital concierge. For all your digital marketing needs, especially WordPress security, jump on over to stunningdigitalmarketing.com and let's help you put the pieces together and make your business succeed in the marketing realm. That's stunningdigitalmarketing.com. Very special thank you to Phil for joining me on this edition of the SDM Show. This podcast is dedicated to my late father, Bruce Cairns. Dad, I love you. I miss you very much. And thanks for all the inspiration over the years and your caring, your understanding, and helping me grow as an individual. Thank you, Dad.